Hey, I'm Kevin, and in this video, we're gonna take a look at the original Alpaka Metro Sling, and we're gonna compare it to their newer version 2 Metro Sling. All right, full disclosure, Alpaka did send me both of these slings to review, which I couldn't be happier about because I love Alpaka gear. I've reviewed some of their slings and some pouches in the past. Really a big fan of everything I have from Alpaka. I've never been disappointed with an Alpaka purchase. I've got the original version 1, or just the original, the VX21 material on the exterior. It's in slate gray. And then this is the newer Metro Sling V2. This one is in Axoflux 300D material. You can tell it's definitely bigger than its predecessor. Capacity-wise, they're pretty close. So this one is rated at 2.1 liters in volume, whereas this one is rated at 2.5 liters in volume. So they're both pretty low profile slings. They're both vertical carry, although this one has some options for carry we'll get into a little bit later. And you can see there's definitely a fairly sizable size difference, right? Again, this is the slate gray, this is black, VX21, Axoflux 300D. And you might be asking yourself, what is Axoflux? Axoflux is Alpaka's self-produced 100% recycled polyester fabric. So it's touted as being highly weatherproof and very durable. And I'll tell you what, it feels very weatherproof and durable. And you know, it's not as smooth, so it's got a nice matte finish to it. This is a little bit smoother, not as matte. This is the VX21, so you figure a 210D face material on this. A little bit smoother, definitely a little bit rougher, but this material feels great. Feels like it's going to hold up extremely well in terms of durability. And then what I like about the Axoflux is that it does have a little bit more give. You know, same with like Cordura and stuff, right? These laminated pack fabrics like the VX21 and the EcoPack materials, they don't have any give really. I mean, very low stretch factor. So there's pluses and minuses to that. I mean, pros and cons, I suppose, but I do typically like that about Cordura bags and material like this Axoflux is you get a little bit more give to it, especially if you're stuffing some stuff in there or you're really loading it out. If you compare the two kind of side by side, that's what you're looking at. So the only place I would say differs is this feels like some kind of ballistic nylon on the back, very similar to what the first version offers. So there's definitely a difference in that back material, and I believe that's some type of ballistic nylon. That's what it feels like anyway. The back side versus the front. You see the difference in that material. So this is definitely a little heavier, dutier material on the back, which is nice because that's where it's going to be. That's a wear point. That's going to be against your body. The same thing on this. We've got a ballistic material on the back there. Larger fabric size or thread size, it would seem. And both of these slings have AquaGuard YKK zippers on there for good, you know, you're going to have good weather resistance on these zippers. They're nice and quiet. They are very smooth for AquaGuard zippers too. I mean, they're definitely not, you know, this one's a little bit harder, and this one you've got that fold of material right there, and that zipper kind of wants to go underneath, but I think that'll break in a little bit more over time. Let's move on to exterior features, and we'll start with the original version. So again, we've already mentioned the YKK zippers. We have two exterior zippers on the original version. You have this vertical dump pouch area with, we'll get into the interior of that in a bit, but quite a bit of built-in volume to that. And then we've got the main exterior zipper, which is a big upside down U all the way around the outside. And we'll show you inside there later, obviously, as well. Otherwise, we've got some attachment points on the back. So one of the cool things about this thing is you have some options on how you want to wear it. If you want to wear it vertically, you can attach to these 2 points. If you want to wear it horizontally, you could attach to these two, or you could put one down here and leave one up there. So you've got a little bit of, I guess, versatility in how you want to carry it with those 4 attachment points, and I'm sure you could figure out some creative ways to utilize those to attach this to other things as well. But otherwise, we do have a nice thin strap with this. We've got some strap adjustment here, an elastic strap management loop built in, and then we've got these G hooks on there. So the strap is seatbelt material and very smooth, no padding, which is actually more than okay. That's desirable in my opinion in a sling this size. For a small sling, I want a small strap. Great strap for this configuration or this type of sling, and it works out perfect. And then you can see on the attachment points, we've got some really good stitching on there. This all looks extremely sturdy, very well put together. Overall, nicely constructed with great materials. Nothing on this bag in terms of exterior branding that I can see. It doesn't say Alpaka anywhere. Moving on to the V2, we've got a couple key differences on this one. So again, we've got 2 access points. This one is a quick access front pocket with a little bit of built-in volume, not quite as much as that one. And then we've got the main U-zip for the interior of the main area of this. This one we do have a little bit of branding on there. So we've got their Hypalon tag with Alpaka on there. And very low key though, black on black. It's very well done, tastefully done, and it doesn't impact the aesthetic. If anything, I think it fits in pretty well. Anyway, we've got a very nice feature on this one, a nylon grab handle that goes all the way around. It almost, pals like webbing all the way around the side. So that definitely adds some versatility to this setup. And I like having this grab handle, and it's perfect. There's no padding, very minimal, doesn't get in the way. Really excellent update there. And then, one of the cool things I think is that there's some extendability or versatility built in. So this is the Alpaka hub carabiner. And if you want to, clip this on to these loops on the side of the nylon, you've got some extendability. Maybe you want to have some hand sanitizer out there, or maybe you want to extend with your hub pouch, and you can easily clip that on. You could put it on here. It fits perfectly on these. You could put it on the main strap. So pretty cool feature. It definitely extends the versatility of this a bit, and you can add some stuff to the outside. I really like the addition of that nylon all the way around. Otherwise, pretty close, pretty similar to the same zipper pulls on these, although I will say Alpaka has changed it a bit from this loop style riveted, which works out great, and you can hook stuff to there, to a more, it's a split style. So this is folded in half, but then you've got some stitching on there, which definitely increases, the friction on there and the tactile feel of them. I like these zipper pulls better than the loop ones. They're also more low profile. They're not as, in your face, or I suppose they don't stand out as much because you got these big loops on this one, and they really stand out. So I do like the new zipper pulls better, and overall great setup there. Another key difference on this versus the original is the strap and how it connects. So it's pretty cool. You've got these basically loops of paracord, it looks like, that are very well stitched in. We can see the stitch points. They hook onto this, so you could remove the entire clip if you wanted to and have no strap. Or, they've got these mag locks on here that are very easy to pull on and off. So you got a button in the middle, and you can push the button, slide it up and out, or you can snap it back in. So that's really cool in a removable strap, because if we have a removable strap, which again, I love having removable straps on slings, I want it to be as easy to remove as possible while still remaining secure when I'm using it. And these are very secure. So I carried this on my last trip and had absolutely no fear of these coming apart. There's really no way they're coming apart unless you push that button and slide up. And when you're carrying it, the weight is pulling down, right? So even if that were to get accidentally depressed somehow, you'd have to have the weight shift 180 degrees up in order for that to come out. Very well done. Love the strap. The strap itself, same width as the original, not quite as smooth. So this feels like a slightly smoother seatbelt-like material. This one feels like it's a little like looser weave to it or something. But overall, great strap. On this one, you've got a elastic loop strap keeper on there. This one, you have this Maglocks branded slider. I like putting it on with the buckle in the front, or the adjustment slider, so that I can adjust length on the fly. Now, for reference purposes, I'm 5'11", 225, somewhere in there. So you can wear it side. Obviously you could wear it to the front if you wanted to. Pull it around, wear it to the back. Loose, tight. You've got a lot of adjustment in this strap. So I've still got quite a bit of room in this strap. I like the way it carries. If you're like a side carry person, then the horizontal or the vertical is perfect because it really fits nicely along your side. Whereas, you know, the horizontal, if you want to carry them sideways, good ones will wrap around you, but it's going to be a little bit more obtrusive. And this one is, it stays nice and low profile with your body if you want to do side carry. So really great for side carry with these slings. So if you want to and you want to convert on the fly, not a big deal. Snap this one in there. Now that makes this pocket extremely useful, this big dump pocket. However, I feel this pocket becomes a little bit less useful, but you have to be careful getting in there. You don't want to unzip it all the way around and risk dumping your stuff out. But if you leave enough room in there, you know, you can open it like this, flip it up, you can still get access to it. Although not as useful for that main pocket, but it is cool to have that option. So that works pretty well for front carry in that configuration. Not definitely as well for side carry, but it does work out pretty well for back carry, and that stays straight up. So this is the V2. Really only one option for carry for this because of the strap loops. They didn't add additional strap loops there, which is fine because as a vertical sling, 9 out of 10 times you're going to want to carry it vertically. Carries well in the front. Now I've got access to anything I want. If I'm wearing it on the front, I usually, because I have a backpack on, if I don't have it on, a little bit tighter, but good access from the front to anything you need. AirPods are in there. Extremely good for side carry with the vertical. So again, you've got that low profile. You put it there, it's out of the way. It's kind of hidden by your body, so it kind of fits in there. And then back carry also work well for this sling. Overall, good setup. Okay, let's take a look at the interior of these two slings. Now we're gonna start with the Metro Sling V2. I've got it loaded up from a work trip last week. As I go through, I'm gonna unload it, show you the interior, and then I will reload it all up into this one as I show you the interior. So let's take a look at the interiors of both of these slings. Starting with the Metro Sling V2, we've got this front quick access pocket protected by a YKK AquaGuard zipper. We open that up and there is a small zip pocket on top, and really that's about it in terms of organization. So I've got, this is a great place to put AirPods. I put my AirPods in there, and anything you want to get at quickly, especially smaller items. So this is really a great place to put smaller items because otherwise they'll have a tendency to fall to the bottom of that very long inside compartment. So AirPods, and there's plenty of room, so AirPods in there, and I mean you could probably get 2 pairs of AirPods in there, I would think. And then actually before we get too far down the road on there, let's take a look at that interior 150D cool gray X grid ripstop. Very nice looking material. I like Alpaka's interior materials on their packs, and especially this gray. Really just an overall great look and feel of that fabric. It feels very premium. It looks very premium. Awesome interior material there. Outside of the AirPods, I've got some hand sanitizer in there. I've got a small travel ibuprofen, 1 each Duke Cannon field shower wipe or cold shower wipe. And then we've got this tethered key leash right here, right? So this is a nylon strap with a key chain on the end of it. This is magnetic. If you want to pull it off, pulls off easily. Otherwise snaps back on. Stays together well unless you want to pull it apart. And then you got this little D-ring on there, so you twist it to snap it out. And then when you want to pull it back in, you just pop it in there. Very secure, not going to come apart unless you want it to. Pretty cool feature. So if you want to stick your keys in there, you can pop them on there. These will drop, may drop to the bottom, but you can easily yank them back out with this. I also have 2 each screen wipes in there, and then on the bottom I dropped in an air tag. You got a little bit of built-in volume to this, not quite as much as the exterior pocket on there it would seem, but still a good amount of volume. And the only drawback to the vertical design here in this pocket, for instance, is that smaller items are going to slip to the bottom. Now my hand, I can get my hand in there no problem, but if you've got a pair of meat paws, you might find it a little bit more difficult to dig around inside that pocket to find smaller items on the bottom. So just something to keep in mind with these vertical style slings. All right, so that's it for the front pocket. Moving on to the main show, the main vertical pocket in here. We'll unzip this all the way around, and we get nice wide access to the interior contents. So we've got that same X-Grid ripstop fabric in there. and then we'll go through all the pockets as I pull the items out of here. So we'll start with this front. We got a slip pocket right here. So in the front, we've got a non-elastic slip pocket. I've got a couple of Band-Aids, some moleskin. I've been breaking in a new pair of boots. That's all I got in there. So nice deep slip pocket. You can see, I mean, that's about almost the height of my hand. You got a little bit of dead space above that, which sometimes happens in vertical slings. But, if you've got this loaded out, you can backfill that. You just have to be careful when you open it. So in front of that, we've got a couple more slip pockets. I've got a DJI Mic 2, very similar to the one I'm wearing. This is the other one, and just if I'm out and about filming and I need audio, I've got that in there. That also pairs with my DJI Pocket 3, which I love using this camera. It's a lot of fun to use. We've got some peanuts in there. Oh, no, they're not peanuts. They're hot and spicy cashews. Some road snacks, right? I've also got one of these cables, the multi-cables. I've showed these in a number of videos, but those are very handy. I've got the Rovivon Aurora A2. Now this is the A3 in there. And then I've got one of the F301 Zebra pens. These are the ones that kind of fold down. Nice for carry because they're not super long. Then on the back side, we have another slip pocket. I've got a set of field notes in there. And then behind that, I've got an Anker MagSafe battery. So this is replaced on this last trip my Victomix, the smaller 10,000 milliamp battery bank I've been using. Now that this is empty, we can see what we're dealing with completely and more easily. We've got these wings, right? So we got a set of gussets on there, or wings, to prevent this from flopping full open, which is definitely handy. I mean, if you got a vertical sling with a big zip like that, you definitely don't want it flopping over and all your stuff spilling out. So that's handy. And you've got a lot of space in the middle here, as well as some organization along the side. So just a plain slip pocket here. In front of that, we have two smaller slip pockets, and then a couple, narrower slip pockets that are long, which would be a good place to put pens or flashlights or stuff of that nature. And then on the back side, we've got just one slip pocket with some mesh elastic and elasticity to it. So this is elastic and it can stretch a bit. So overall, not a bad setup. The only complaint I have about this setup is, depending on what you're putting in there, if it's not tall, you could have some wasted vertical space, right? So that organizational end to the top. It would be nice to see maybe, another smaller mesh pocket up here in case I want to put some smaller items in there. Otherwise, though, it worked out perfect carrying for travel, and I do like the vertical setup, and I like the way it carries. So let's move over to the original. And now in the original, we've got this big dump pocket in the front, right, with quite a bit of built-in capacity. I mean, it's a big, wide pocket, and really no organization built into it, other than we also have a key leash in this one. So smaller nylon strap. This one's not mag. It's got like a push button release, which is actually, I mean, it works pretty well. It's kind of cool. And that sits in there, so if you want to drop your keys in there. But then that's it in terms of organization. If I'm going to dump some of this stuff in there, so I'll put my hand sanitizer in there. The Advil is going to go in there. I'll drop my AirPods in there. I'm going to put this air tag. I'm going to try to put that on the bottom. Now what this lacks, though, is that organization. I can still get everything I need in there, but for instance, it's going to be a little bit harder. I might have to dig around to find my AirPods, and that's going to be something I access frequently while traveling or even on the move with a sling. I mean, one of my most frequently accessed accessories is definitely my AirPods. So I'm also going to shove the shower wipes in there and these two screen cleaners. Opening up the main pocket, very, very similar layout. We've got big drop-in pockets on both sides, and then a little bit of organization built in below them. So solid drop pocket in the back. Field notes fit very nicely in this pocket. Then right below that slip pocket, we've got a couple nylon, we've got a couple of elastic loops if you want to organize some stuff in there, and then a slip pocket below. And then on the other side, we've got a slip pocket, solid slip pocket in the back. Then we've got a little bit of expandability in this slip pocket right there, right? So a slip pocket with some folded volume to it, and then two pockets on the side that are narrow and long, which would be a great place to put a pen. So I'm going to throw my pen over on this side. That fits in there perfectly. And then I'm going to throw this on the other pen pocket, sticking out to the outside because I think it's too wide to get in there, but it also makes it a little bit more convenient to access. But these pockets are a little bit harder to work with, I think, than the pockets on this one. So, all right, this I'm going to throw in that pocket, and then I'm going to put the mic right next to it. I'm going to throw my Band-Aids and my med stuff in that back slip pocket. I'm going to throw that in front of there, just like I had it in the other one. And then that kind of leaves no room for the camera. I mean, I can get it in there, but man, I'm gonna have to smash that. So I'm throwing the camera in there on the side, and then I'm gonna throw the snacks in next to it. That all fits. So if you'll see, I've got all the same stuff in there, and it fits, but man, that's kind of tight. So zipping it up, I mean, yeah. And you see what that looks like. That's tight. So it definitely all fits in there. It goes in there. I'm not sure I'd feel comfortable carrying it this way, and it's going to be very useful because, all right, let's see. I open this up. I mean, I could still, to get to anything in these pockets, I'm basically going to have to pull this all the way out. But still, man, you see how tight that is, right? So, I mean, still a good pouch. I'd probably ditch the camera if I'm carrying this, and I would most likely then ditch the mic as well. And then that's going to be a much more manageable carry. Fits together better. I do feel like the extra width on this one makes everything just a little bit easier to access and get into in terms of the pockets and the organization. This one's very compact, and it's a little bit harder to access some of the items in there because you don't have that width to get your hands in there. All right, let's talk pros and cons for a minute. And I think both of these are nice slings. I like material-wise, construction-wise, specs. I mean, they differ obviously in dimensions, a little bit in capacity. It's interesting to me though that if I look back at my notes, we're talking 0.4 of a liter of capacity difference between this one and this one. But what I will say is the design of this one with the widened footprint, although slightly slimmer, definitely carries and loads better in my opinion. So for sure it loads better. I mean, if you want a smaller footprint sling, obviously this one's smaller dimensionally, although it does get pretty fat when loaded out, right? So that same stuff loaded out in this one was not as fat. And you didn't have as much stuff on top because you have more room to spread it out in here. So I will say that minor increase in capacity, but overall easier to load. And I definitely prefer carrying the V2. So this one's gonna see more mileage for me because of it's easier to access, easier to get my hands in there. I do like the layout a little bit better in terms of, you've got these bigger, wider pockets that are easier to get down into. Whereas with this one, I mean, you're not getting a hand in most of these. So maybe you're going in there with 2 fingers and trying to tweeze some stuff out of there. So I really like that about this sling. We've also got this easily removable strap. Love that about this. So that is definitely a pro for me as well. We've got the handle all the way around with, some Molly-like or Pals-like loops on there as well. Really like that upgrade to it. It's very nice and adds a lot of versatility to this sling. And then the interior with the cross grid ripstop just looks fantastic. I love that about this. Got the upgraded zipper pulls, and overall, just nice setup, great looking sling. This I feel is a more useful sling in terms of everyday carry, and especially for most of my use cases, much of which are going to be travel because I do so much traveling for work. This is definitely more of a pocket dump sling, right? If you're going to use this and load it out comfortably, this is going to be your essentials: a pocket dump, maybe wallet, phone, stuff like that, and then a few extras. You're going to maybe a very narrow battery. In that respect, this one will definitely be much more useful for me. And then lastly, vertical configuration as a setup or a design, right? So there's some pros to that, but it's also going to appear in my cons, and I'll get to that in a minute. But there's some pros in that. It is comfortable to carry, and it sits nicely on the body. It's a lower profile, doesn't stick out. If you like to side carry, definitely vertical is great for side carry. And it works extremely well for front carry. I don't think it's as well suited for back carry, in my opinion, as a standard horizontal profile sling. Now let's talk cons, right? So there's a couple cons, I think, to both of these. I'm going to focus more so on the V2 as overall, you know, what I like about this and what I don't like. And vertical carry, as I mentioned, I think that can be a pro and a con, because one of the cons of vertical setups is you do tend to have a little bit of dead space, potentially, depending on how you load it out. Again, if this is completely loaded out with shorter items, you're going to have this space on top that potentially doesn't have anything in it. You can load stuff on top of that and set it in there, but then you got to move it out of the way to get at the other stuff. On the other hand, though, if you have taller items that are going to fit, you know, the length of this or inside there, then you're set. You're not going to have any of that wasted space issue. But it's a little bit of a trade-off then. So the form factor is great, again, for side carry and front carry. However, the trade-off then is you potentially risk having some dead space on the top of your sling. And then, you know, comparatively speaking, again, V1 to V2, this does have a bigger footprint. So that could be in the pro category or the con category. To me, it's a pro. I find this setup and this size more useful than this setup and this size. However, if you're just looking for a pocket dump sling, then that might be a con for you, that this one is bigger. Overall, both of these are great slings. From a use case scenario perspective, I think, you know, I've used a lot of slings over the last several years, and this one is just about perfect in what I'm looking for in a sling. Because to me, I like to have a sling that can double as a sling. Well, really 3 use cases, right? I like a sling that can also be a tech case, that can also be my in-flight essentials bag, right? And this fits the bill for all 3 of these. Great out and about sling for your necessities plus some extras, right? Awesome form factor, great use case scenario. Anyone looking for, you know, a small urban exploration sling, a great versatile travel sling, the Alpaka Metro Pouch version 2 is going to be a great option for you. Overall, I do like the V2 better than the V1. I find this much more useful size, and I will definitely put more miles on this bag than I will on this. Great bags though, both of them overall. So what do you think of the Alpaka Metro pouches? Do you have either of them? Have you seen the V2 yet? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop me a comment below. Any questions, comments, again, drop me a comment below. If you found this video useful, please smash that like button for me, and definitely consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks.